What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian.
I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To all Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
BlueNote Fan Report. Hello, hello. Have you missed us? I doubt it. Let me bring in my buddy, my pal, my co-host for today, Justin Scott. How you doing, Justin?
Doing pretty well, man. It's been a while. Hope you've been keeping up to date and doing well.
I can't find the right buttons, man. I'm trying to give you applause and I can't find it.
It's all right. It wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be today, right? I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay. I've been trying to keep with things. So, I mean, we're just going to, for the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, we're going to talk about things going on with the NHL, with the Blues and that. You know, one of the things right now, and I think it's a big deal, isn't the conference finals themselves, but who's in the conference finals, right?
Yeah.
3 of the 4 teams that are in the conference finals this season were in the conference finals last season. And the only one that's not is the Rangers, who missed the playoffs. Now, I don't remember exactly where Carolina. I know Carolina made the playoffs last year. I think they got beat in the second round by the Rangers, if I remember correct. I could be wrong on that. But
yeah, they did.
They did?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, so you're seeing right now that the teams at the top are the teams at the top. That these are the teams that are built to be here. And that's why they're here. You know, and I think this has a lot to do with what we talk about with the Blues and about how they're being built. And it will come into our second topic. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I look at these playoffs, and right now we're in the first intermission of Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and Florida looks like they're a steamroller, right? Carolina's not a pansy team.
No, they're not. Florida right now they're just bullying their opponents. I mean, you look back to that last series against Toronto. I mean, Florida was just bullies. Like, it wasn't fun for anybody who wasn't a Florida Panthers fan.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that 7-game series, and that, first of all, I think Toronto fans are absolute idiots, right? I don't think they understand. And then you got the news that came out today. Brendan Shanahan is out, right?
That I knew would happen. Shanahan was most definitely gone. After this year, especially if Toronto didn't, at least make the finals.
But here's my thing, and it gets back into exactly what we were just talking about. It's not like Toronto lost in a 7-game series to the East Rutherford Bumfucks, right? And everyone's acting like, oh my God, this is the team that should have been. It should have. You get into the playoffs, and all 4 number 1 seeds are out of the second round. Mm-hmm. This is why. You and me talked. You remember, and I know I'm probably going on, and I'm sorry, man. But we talked a couple of shows ago about the 1v8, right? The 1v8.
Yeah.
And yes. Right there, this is the proof that 1v8 doesn't work. You know, all 4 number 1 seeds are out, and they all got knocked out by either a 3 or a 2 seed, which is what would have happened in a 1v8. Right? They would have faced a 4 seed or something like that. And so it's the same thing, right? It's go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. I'm gonna go off. I'm listening to you, and I'm gonna go off of what my opinions are from that series.
Go. I want to hear it.
I think for me, the way I look at things in Toronto is honestly, their fans are definitely, out there. Don't get me wrong. They are passionate. Sometimes they're over exaggeration. Like when it comes down to like being passionate and being just absurdly ignorant. Like I don't like fans who like pay like hundreds of dollars for jerseys and then go out and throw them on the ice and burn them and just destroy them. Like I don't get that aspect at all. But for Toronto fans, I understand, like, as a Blues fan, honestly, we're not, like, extremely similar because Toronto has, like, more of the top-end talent, per se. But the Blues in Toronto are very similar. I mean, when you look at the fan bases, we're nowhere near, like, Toronto's fan base in the aspects of, like, what we do. But as Blues fans, we're passionate. St. Louis fans are passionate.
Oh yeah.
But I think it gets lost in translations when you mix passion with over exaggeration. I think Toronto fans are just done with the core group of guys not being able to get it done. And I've never been a big Toronto guy. I think Austin Matthews, it's probably a hot take because a lot of people like him, but I think Austin Matthews, to me, is one of the most unclutched superstars in the league. And that's just my opinion. But the group needs a shakeup. I don't think Marner comes back.
Well, yeah, I mean that's one of the things we might talk about a little bit. There's been discussion. So first of all, I'm in a couple of different hockey discussion groups, right? And I'm a member of Coast to Coast Hockey. We've talked about that before, right? And in that chat, there's this sense that he's going to go to like San Jose or
Anaheim's
Chicago,
a good one,
something like that. And if I'm Mitch Marner, he's 27, I think, 26, right? 26, 27 years old. I'm not going to a rebuilding team. I just went through it. in Toronto, right? I was there. We did all this, and it didn't get. Why would I want to do that again? And they say he's chasing the money. I don't think he is. I think at this point, once these guys get 6, 7, 8 years in the league, like Marner came in. I'm pretty sure he came in when he was like 18 years old. I think he came in. He's been in what, 5 years now? I think. I'd have to pull it up here.
No, I think he's been in there longer. I think than 5 years. I think.
Yeah. Hold on.
Well, because I think he's turning 27, right? He's turning 27.
I'm gonna pull him up here in a second. Give me just a second to pull up his stat.
While you pull that up, I see a few destinations when it comes to Marner. I don't know if the reports are true, but I was hearing that Marner doesn't want to go to any other Canadian team if it's not Toronto.
I can see that.
So that kind of limits his options. There's a few teams in mind.
Nah, you froze on me, bud. Could be me. I don't know. Who froze? Dun dun dun. Not sure.
Okay, can you hear me now? I cut out.
Yeah,
can you hear me now?
You froze there for a second. There you go. You're
okay. Back. I think for Marner, if that is true that he doesn't want to go to any other Canadian teams, like any of them besides the Maple Leafs, that kind of limits his options, and that's going to put him south. Honestly, you're gonna have offers from teams like Chicago. You're gonna have, I think, the most likely destination if he was to pick a team that's rebuilding, it would probably be Anaheim. Look how much cap space they have. They're the only team. I mean, there's a few teams, but they're like the only team that can like really give him a good payday. And they're a good young team. I think Anaheim's going to be good in a couple of years.
He's 28, and
he's 28. Okay,
right, and he's been in the league since 17. All right, so he's got 9 years in the league already. I guarantee you, this guy's chasing a cup.
Oh, of course. Every player wants a cup.
I don't think he's chasing the money. I think he's chasing the cup. And if he's chasing the cup, if he is chasing a cup, he's going to go to a team that's on the cusp. So he's going to go to somebody that either just missed the playoffs or was in the playoffs and got knocked out in the first or the second round, or a team that conference finals team. You look at Dallas. Oh, Carolina finally got one in the net. You look at Dallas. Dallas is a team that I think he could go to. You look at Colorado. Now, Colorado's got some cap space issues, but they're big on loading up like that. They could let some guys go, or they could make some trades to open up the room for him. I could see that happening. Yeah. Right? I could see the Avs doing that. Tampa Bay. I could see Tampa Bay making some moves. Right? And there's one team that intrigues me, even though he says he doesn't want to go to a Canadian team, or feels like he doesn't want to go to a Canadian team. There is one Canadian team that really, really, really intrigues me, and it might be the thing that Marner needs, right? So there's two questions with Marner. Question one, is he chasing a cup? Right? And I think the answer to that is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. He is chasing a cup. Oh, that might be offsides. I think that's coming back. We'll see.
Yeah, it does look.
It's getting challenged. It's whether or not the puck came out of the zone. If it did come out of the zone, it's offsides. To back. One, is he chasing a cup? Absolutely. And number two, and this is what I think even more important than chasing a cup. Out of the question, only team he did not exclude was Toronto. Okay, but there is one that I think when you with Marner, is he a guy that has to be the guy? Is he a guy that's got to come in and be that guy on a team? Right? I kind of feel like he is. And if he is, there's a Canadian team that he would fit in really well with that I think could figure out how to get him the money. And he might have a chance to win a cup in the next 2 years. Any guesses?
Well, you're talking about how it's a team that is you're not rebuilding, but probably in the playoffs. So the only two teams that I can, is it in the East or the West? Give me a hint.
If I say it, it's going to give it away.
Okay, I'm gonna go with I was going to say the Oilers, but the Oilers, they don't have the cap space. There's no way.
Yeah. Well, the Oilers, he couldn't be the man at the Oilers. That takes them out.
Would it be crazy to think that you're thinking of Winnipeg?
No, I'm thinking of Montreal.
Mm.
Right? Montreal doesn't have that guy, doesn't have the leader, the guy that everyone rallies around, right? They don't have that guy, and they made the playoffs this year. They are at that point that they could take that next step. They're at that point. They're ready to take that next step. And if Marner needs to be the guy, that's the team where if he goes there, he's the guy. There's no one. There's no other superstar on that team. Now, I get it. I know he said he doesn't want to go to a Canadian team if it's not Toronto. However, if I'm Marner and Montreal comes a calling, I'd have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Me personally, there's one team. There's one team that in the playoffs that I can see Marner possibly going to, and they're gonna probably be interested in him, and that is Carolina. Carolina is a well-structured team. Mm-hmm. Marner would be coming into a team that is well-structured, a good team that's still competitive. They got a bunch of talent there. Would he be the number one guy? I don't know, but he'd be pretty close. I mean, I like a lot of the guys on Carolina. I think he'd be a good fit, Carolina.
I could see that. I think Carolina could be a good fit, and I get it. So Wayne said, he said for sure not Montreal. You have to remember he's from Toronto, and I get that. But I'm telling you what, if a guy like if he went and just I want to throw all that out and just think about legacy, because these guys think about legacy. They absolutely think about legacy. I know they do. Especially the guys that are up there, right? This stuff means something to them, right? And if he was to go to Montreal and win a cup there, right? And be the guy, lead that team to a cup, that cements his legacy. He could win a cup in other areas and not cement his legacy. He could go to Carolina, win a cup, and that doesn't cement his legacy. He could go to Colorado, win a cup, and that doesn't cement his legacy. He could go, there's teams he could go to and win a cup, and it doesn't cement his legacy. He goes to a team like Montreal and wins a cup. Oh my God. Right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he'd be a Montreal hero for sure. I will say, I'm gonna stand on my opinion, and we're gonna kind of agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah.
For me, first of all, I don't know if that report is true or not, but that definitely seems like something Marner would do. His faithfulness and commitment to Toronto, although I love it, I definitely do believe that he doesn't want to go to any other Canadian team besides Toronto.
And that's fine, and I get that. But if I'm his agent, if I'm Mitch Marner's agent, and Montreal came calling, I'd sit him down and say, okay, let's stop for a second and think about this. And, everyone's like going, he'd never be allowed home again. Yeah, right. I get that, but you can't say what I'm saying doesn't make sense.
No, it definitely does make sense. I agree that it makes 100% sense. For me, I don't think Marner, although I think he'll listen, because I think he's like we said, we don't think he's chasing the money per se, but he's going to be listening to offers. He'll listen to everything.
Now,
he's the hottest commodity for the free agency market right now.
So let's roll this around, and I'm going to throw this out there. He wouldn't go to Montreal if they offered him $20 a year. Wow. Do the Blues make an offer to Marner? If you're the GM of the Blues, do you make an offer to Marner? I'm gonna let you stew on that one first. Let you answer that one first.
Okay. See, I've been tossing around the idea of a Marner in St. Louis. And all I've ever heard is because people always crap on St. Louis and all that, and most fans do, and they're like, "Oh, who would want to play in St. Louis?" But for me, does the idea of Marner playing with someone like a Robert Thomas intrigue the hell out of me? Oh, of course, dude. If you think that Robert Thomas is a 100-point guy now, imagine if he's playing with a guy like Marner. I think he's easily 100 points. So it obviously adds intrigue to the team offense. I think it definitely helps the offense in a way, but the thing is you always have to look at the playoff history. And I know that people are always reaming on Marner. Marner had 13 points in 13 games in the playoffs this season. So I mean, he wasn't as bad as everybody says he was, but the thing is in big moments he tends to disappear.
Well,
for me,
go ahead. Continue.
For me, if I'm the GM, I'm obviously going out there and talking to him. But the thing is the only way that would ever happen if St. Louis decides, you know what, we're gonna make a big splash in the offseason, and they're gonna try to get Marner. The only way that's gonna happen is if you get rid of Kyrou.
We'll talk about that very shortly.
Yes.
I'm going to go on the opposite side of this and say, hell no, I don't make the phone call. And my reason for not making the phone call is simple. The proof that doesn't work is out there and was right in front of everyone's face this season. Bringing in superstars doesn't work. Nashville Predators, right? They brought in aging superstars. It didn't work. In fact, they're drafting 6th or 5th, something like that, right? They're drafting, they're in the lottery after everyone thought they were winning the cup. If I'm St. Louis and I look at my core and go, do I bring this in? And the answer is no. I don't want to bring that in. And this brings us back because you brought it up, and this was the second topic of today, was the Kyrou issue. And Jordan Kyrou, as everyone knows, Jordan Kyrou is due to kick in a
his contract.
A no trade clause.
No trade clause
in his contract on July 1st. So that means right now, without his approval, you could trade him right now to any team you want between now and July 1st. Right? Mm-hmm. You can make that trade. Well, actually, I don't think you can make that trade. I think you can get the deal going, but you can't officially make the trade until after the playoffs are over. The Stanley Cup Finals are over.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, the thing comes up: do you trade Kyrou? First of all, here's if you could trade Kyrou to Toronto for Marner's rights, along with other things, maybe you think about that. But you'd have to know ahead of time that Marner was willing to sign with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, that's the only way I would even entertain the thought. I don't think, and we'll talk more about this Kyrou thing here in a second. I don't think that trading Kyrou helps this team in any way, shape, or form. Now, you and me talked about this a little bit pre-show. One of the things that I've heard discussed was
Let's see. Did any of you watch the Army interview with Danny Strickland? No, I did not see it. Without saying it, pretty much said he won't trade Kyrou, and that's great. But there's been mention of, and fans of, it's just a fan trade of Kyrou for Brady Tkachuk with Ottawa. Problem with that, and I heard this on the morning STL. They do little reels and that, and I seen a reel that they did. If you're not getting that straight up, they're going to want more. They're going to want something close to what Matthew got, right? And if that is the case, what are you willing to give up to get Tkachuk, along with losing Kyrou? I look at what, and you and me talked a little bit about this. Look what's in the cupboard. We have been waiting for a couple of years for what's in the cupboard to come. It is time for that to bear fruit. And now you want to trade it away? Are you freaking nuts? Or am I the idiot here?
Might I add, first of all, for me, I'm not in the camp of trading Kyrou. I'm not. I'm going to say what I said to my buddy. Me and my buddy were talking about this. I said it. I have been a Kyrou doubter for a few seasons when he was not doing his best, and people are going to say, like the Kyrou stands who stood by him. Like I appreciate that. I admire the fact that you're like, oh yeah, he's great, and all. But we wanted to see better, or at least I did. The Jordan Kyrou that we got was a guy who was skating over pucks, was making really bad decisions, was not very good defensively. I am telling you this right now, Blues fans, 2024, 2025 is Jordan Kyrou's best season as a St. Louis Blue. So the way I look at that is this is his best season. I'm going to assume that he only goes up from here. Why would you, like you said, why would you trade away something that you've taken for years to develop to not get something back that may not be worth it? Because like you were saying, you're not going to get Brady Tkachuk for Kyrou straight up. Yeah. The only way the Sens are giving you Brady Tkachuk is if you give them Kyrou and you add a Bolduc in there, you added Neighbors in there. That's the only way you're getting Brady Tkachuk. And do you guys want to give up Neighbors? Do you want to give up Bolduc? I don't.
Or Dvorsky or Snuggerud or
exactly
or Steinberg or Theinstein.
Yeah.
Like I said, all these guys in the cupboard that are now ready to come out, right? Jarek, Koss, the third round pick, the left wing third round pick who had a pretty good season in the minors. Fisher had a decent season. These were all picks from last year. You have Dvorsky, Steinberg, Theinstein, and Stansel. All guys that are close to being ready to come up. Dvorsky, Steinberg, and Lindstein will probably all see time this season, right? All see time this season. Snuggerud, Bolduc, we talked about. And then you got Neighbors, Leo Loof, a third round pick from 2020. He's a defenseman that could bring that's could see time. He's on the edge, I think. You have Alexandrov. I think Alexandrov will probably no longer, and I'm going back to 2019 now. I think Alexandrov will probably no longer be in. I don't think he's going to be in the Blues conversation much longer. However, I mean that's what you're looking at, right? Those are the type of things that you're looking at. Where's Red Smoke at the United Center Day indicating a new head coach? Yeah, and then there'll be Black Smoke announcing his firing in the next 6 to 8 months. Oh, that was pretty good. That was actually pretty good. Ranger says, I think we have a first round pick this year, but nothing till the 4th. Actually, you might be right. I'd have to go look at it here real quick. Hold on a second. No, I think we've got we gave up our second and our third, but I think we have a third from somebody else.
The Blues don't have much. I think this year.
I got it. I'm looking at it. We have 3 picks. We have a first round, a 5th round, and a 6th round. Right. In 26, we have a first round, a 3rd round, a 4th round, 2 5ths, a 6th, and a 7th. In 27, we have no second round pick and 2 4th round picks, along with every other, 1 pick in every other round. So yeah, this season, you're the cupboard as far as what you're going to get this year. It's a little bare. However, I could see them making some type of trade to get something in round 2 or round 3. Right? I could see them making some type of move to get something in round 2 or round 3. And in fact, I'll tell you who I think that they would move to get a 2nd or a 3rd round pick. In fact, I'll let you. Who do you think that they would possibly trade to get a 2nd or a 3rd round pick?
Oh, you know what, man? I couldn't even give you a guess if I tried.
Right.
So I'd love to hear your insight on who you think.
Well, I'm gonna let our fans, all 6 of them, who would you trade to get a 2nd or 3rd round pick in this year's draft? Chris Shockey says Falk. I'm not ready to give up on Falk. I'm not ready to give up on Falk. I think that you would I think Falk would be a 1st round pick, not a 2nd. I do. The one that I'm thinking, Bush, I don't even touch Bush. Bush is 2 firsts. Bush is 2 firsts. Even he had a rough season, he's still 2 firsts. Right? He's not a 2nd or a 3rd. Letty, nope. Letty, maybe. Letty's one I would entertain. I honestly would entertain something with Letty.
Yeah. Letty would be the guy to me, because if you get rid of Letty, that eliminates and gives you what, $4 million to work with.
Yeah. Ranger got it. I think Sonny gets you a 2nd or a 3rd, because Sonny's cheap. Sonny's $1.5 million, and you need to get rid of Sonny. He is taking up a spot that Dvorsky or one of those guys would fill in. My issue with Letty is a $4 million guy for next season. And I don't think he has a no trade. He has a modified. He has a 16-team trade list. So there's 16 teams that he can be traded to. At that point, I think you can, the 2nd or 3rd round pick you get might be a low 2nd or 3rd round pick. I think at the money, when you're looking at the money at the $1.5 million, I think you could possibly get a 2nd, a low 2nd or a 3rd, high 3rd for Sundqvist. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of all depends on, what teams are looking for that type of guy. Yeah. Like I said, Sundqvist hasn't regained his I don't even know the right word, but he hasn't regained his presence of like the 2019 Sundqvist, after the injury. I mean, that's a hard injury to come back from. I just don't think he's hit that level. But I mean, I'm sure that there's probably a team that is looking for a depth guy like the Sundqvist. He's a team guy. Every team that he's went to, all the fans love him. He went to Minnesota, they loved him.
Yeah.
Where else did he go? I'm drawing a blank. He was on some other teams too.
Was it the Rangers we traded him to? No.
No,
Pittsburgh.
We didn't.
Was it Pittsburgh?
No, he didn't. He wasn't in Pittsburgh. It was. I know it was Minnesota for sure.
He got him from Pittsburgh, right? Let's see here. Wild then Detroit Red Wings. We got him from
Detroit.
Pittsburgh, right? So we
I
traded
don't.
him to Detroit. He went to the Wild for a year and then came back to us.
Yeah.
And we got him from Pittsburgh. I didn't know we got him from Pittsburgh, right?
I don't. No, I don't. I don't think so. I thought we got him from the Wild.
No, we got him from Pittsburgh. I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm
Well,
looking
yeah.
at it.
Okay. Well, then he didn't play much time in Pittsburgh, that or if at any, because I don't remember him
28
playing
games.
with.
28
Oh, okay.
games.
Yeah, I didn't remember him play. That's the one team I actually did not know he played for.
Yeah, 28 games. I knew we got him from. I think he was a free agent, or I don't remember if we got him through a trade. Let's see here. Signings and trades.
I know. Just to switch topics a little bit, I know we're on Sunquist, but I don't remember who mentioned it, but like about Falk. Falk is the go-to whipping boy now. And us as Blues fans have always had a whipping boy, and I don't like it. It was Krug, and it was Falk. Who else am I thinking of when I'm thinking of whipping boy?
Absolute whipping boy.
Kyrou. You have multiple guys.
Whipping boy for a while.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, this is my opinion. Falk, he does have, stretches. Like, was he fantastic this season in the regular season? No. But was he? As for the playoffs, Falk was not as bad as everybody thought he was.
Oh no, Falk. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have an issue with. I don't have an issue with Falk. I don't have an issue with. I didn't have an issue like when I graded the players. I know you couldn't come in for that. I put Letty as an incomplete, right? Because the injury and that, and I could have. And if he came in, I would have given him a D. But that's just because he didn't get to see enough of him, right? But that's why I made him an incomplete.
I will say, Letty was abysmal in the beginning. But when Letty came back, and it's probably going to rattle some feathers here. When Letty came back, him and Tucker played well together.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That's kind of why I made it an incomplete. I just didn't feel like they got enough time, or he got enough time to really show what was going on. So that's where I was at. We gave Reeves for Sonny, and I don't see that. I was pulling Sonny's card up. I didn't go that deep into it, but yeah, I knew we got him. The Reeves trade, I didn't think it was. I thought the Reeves trade was for something else, but I could be wrong, right? Because I thought we signed him as a free agent. But I could be wrong.
I mean, but Sunquist is kind of, when you think about it, Sunquist is kind of like a lower level Perron in a way, because Sunquist, he was just like Perron. He had multiple, stints here. Because Sunquist was here, and then he wasn't here, and then he's back. So I mean, maybe not as much, obviously not as much as Perron, but like he's been here multiple times.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, we signed him in 2017-18 as a free agent. He was 23. He was an RFA, but I think that he got I don't think that they tendered him a contract. So it made him so I'm pretty sure at that, yeah. Pittsburgh kind of just let him go. All right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I don't think he was like. That's why I was saying I don't think I remember him playing
enough
much.
games. He didn't play enough games, and he didn't qualify or something like that. So he was like a Group 4 free agent or something like that. So it wasn't an offer sheet. He just was. We were able to sign him. I don't see a trade. I could be wrong, but I don't see a trade per se. All right.
Yeah, I think it was a signing. I think.
Yeah. I'm looking at the signings and trades under Puckpedia, and it doesn't have It doesn't have him being traded to us. It has him signing with us for 4 years. So,
yeah, I think it
whatever.
was a signing.
Right.
But
So back to but so this brings us all back to where we were, the Kyrou thing, and we look at and it brings us back to the draft this year. We're drafting in the number 19 spot, right? Ranger says, when do we see the women on the show? I want dances and flashing. Oh my goodness. You're in the wrong place, my friend. Trust me, you're in the wrong place. Oh my goodness. It brings us back to this year with the draft. We're that first round pick. We're in the number 19 spot, and I kind of wonder, we've done very, very well in that mid-teen, early 20 spot, right? And for example, and this is the last couple of drafts that we've done, right? At 16 last year, we had Adam Durek. He did play some. I know he had an injury, but he got some playing time in the minors this year. In 2023, we had Steinberg at 25 and Lindstein at 29. Both those guys. Steinberg's more about the where we're talking about, but Lindstein's right there too. Both those guys are probably going to see time this year. We had Snuggerud at 23 and 22. He's now a probably going to be a permanent player. We got Bolduc at 17. He's probably going to be a permanent player. We got Neighbors at 26. He's probably going to be a permanent player. The first miss, the swing and the miss that we got, in that 20, mid-teen, low 20, it's 25 was Dominic Bach. We traded Bach to Carolina for, he was part of the Letty deal, or the Falk deal, right? I think Falk was there, right? Falk was part of that. And I think he's never played in the NHL. I think he had some injury concerns, concussion concerns or something like that. But, and then, right behind him at 45th, we had Prunovich. That the 18 draft was pretty much almost a swing and a miss for us. We got two guys out of that draft that in the back half of that draft that helped us. We got Hoffer at 107 in the 4th round, and we got Tucker in the 7th round. Right. We also got McGing there in the 5th round, and McGing is I don't think he's on our roster, but I think he's part of Springfield's roster.
Yeah,
right?
I believe he is. Yeah.
Right. Then you go to 17 and you have Robert Thomas, another miss in Clauston at 31. But Costin that's why Costin slipped. Then 26, you go to 2016, you had Tage Thompson at 26, and then slightly behind him at 35, you have Jordan Kyrou. So my point in this is, in that range, we've done really, really, really well. So I don't know. I can't sit there and name all the players that we could. But what type of player would you want to draft in that spot? I kind of know what I want. I'm asking you guys, what type of player would you want to draft in that spot?
Are you referring to the type of player or the position of the player?
Both. You can go either way.
Well, I think for me, this draft class is not like a home run by any means. Like, it's not like a draft class that's gonna shock everybody, I don't think. But there could be some gems in there. I think for the Blues, obviously, their focus to me needs to be their defense. They need to find more prospects in the defensive pool, because once these contracts, that we've been lingering on for a while now of the veterans, go down and we don't have them on the books anymore, we're gonna need to have young guys in the defensive position. We already have one. We did, but that was from the offer sheet. Broberg. Broberg is going to be locked up here because there's no way that Army's going to let Broberg walk. So we're going to have him. He's a young guy, but we need more prospects in the defensive position.
We've got 3, maybe 4 that are ready, that are NHL or near NHL ready, right? 3 for sure, maybe 4. Up 4-1 or 4-0. So that goal did get called back. So
yeah,
you got Adam Jarrett, last year's draft pick. He could probably, I could see him not this year, but next year seeing time, right? You have Lindstein. Lindstein is probably going to get, he's going to get called up this season. I'm almost dead certain of it. Leo Loof. Loof is a little bit older, but he's 23, but I could see him he's getting to that point where I think you're going to see him get called up. You also have Schumann, who got called up, who did get some time this year, didn't get a lot of time, but did get some time. You also have Gaudette, Marc-Andre Gaudette. He is like on that fringe of being ready. We've got some young defensive talent in
we
the
do.
work, right?
We do, but sorry, go ahead.
What I think we need more than anything else, we need one of 2 things. We either need a big stay-at-home defenseman, which there aren't a lot out there, or we need a power play quarterback, right? Or there is one other thing that I would be willing to draft if it was available in that spot, and that would be a one-timer. I don't care if he's got nothing else but a hell of a one-timer. That's someone I would take a chance on. Couldn't skate, can't pass, can't shoot, but it's got a great one-timer. I'll take that chance because that's what our power play is missing. If I can sit that guy in Alex Ovechkin's office and say, wait for the puck and put it on net, that's what that's what I think our power play is missing.
I will say, I will say that I don't hate that idea of getting a one-timer, but I think for the, for how our power play was, working, it wasn't great. But especially in the playoffs, when you think about it, like Winnipeg had the best power play, and the Blues were the better team, on special teams. So I mean, maybe that just more so lends to the fact of Winnipeg maybe not being up to par. But I also got to give the Blues credit too, because I think later in the season, as we established that structure, the power play looked all right. I mean, do I think that we could use a guy who can one-time the puck? Yes. But do I think it was a bad-looking power play? No. I think when you started to see that that really good chemistry between Thomas and Bolduc on the power play, that power play really skyrocketed.
Bolduc's a one-timer guy, and he doesn't trust it yet, and hopefully with some more time with Montgomery, he will trust it. But here's my thing. It's not just the power play, it's the penalty kill. And when you look at 6 and 5, that's a power play penalty kill situation in my eyes, right? It's that same situation, even though they don't consider it that, that's what it is. And the fact that in those situations, we didn't have no, I do not want Leone. No. Do not want locker room issues. Don't want it. Don't need it. Yeah, you ain't got time for it. No. What was that the line from Days of Thunder,
What was it? Who was it? Laine?
Yeah, Patrick Laine, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll pass.
Yeah, pass. Yeah. Nice try, Ranger. Snoogie has a one-timer. he used in the Worlds a lot, but we didn't see it. That's the thing. He's got it, but we didn't see it. Why didn't we see it? We definitely need to see it.
For me though, I think it was. I think we will start to see it. Obviously, it's a small sample size with him, but like, and I also have to think about it like this. Like, I'm not like trying to play devil's advocate and say like, oh yeah, like give it a chance. Like, but like then again, like I said, it is a small sample size. But like he came in, played well, and he played his first playoffs. He was noticeable out there. It's not like he was completely invisible. He was noticeable out there. I just think in the small sample size that we got in the regular season to the playoffs and regular season are obviously different. So his opportunities to get like a one-timer and, rip a one-timer in the playoffs especially is not going to be easy. So I think in time it'll come. I really do.
And you may be right. And Chris makes a good point. It's because Bolduc was in that spot and Snoogie played low. Okay, get it. But even low, that backdoor one-timer, we didn't see that. And if he's got the one-timer, the backdoor play is what burns us. Why aren't we trying to burn somebody with it, Let's throw this out there. We've had a good show so far. We're coming up on an hour. I can go a little bit longer if you're good with it.
Yeah.
Let's throw caution to the wind, right? You can trade any player on our roster for any other player of equal value, right? So you can't sit there and go, oh, I'm going to trade Nathan Walker for Connor McDavid, right? That's not equal value.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could trade any player on our roster, right?
Yeah.
Who would you trade and what or who would you want back? So equal value trade. I have one that I would trade this player, but I would trade him not for a name player, but the same type of player. If I could get the same type of player back, I would be willing to trade this guy. And I can't believe I'm even going to say this.
Okay.
But I'll let you. You got one?
Well, no, I was actually gonna think about mine because I don't have one off the top of my head. So I'd like to hear yours first this time.
Right. Kyrou for line and Cardiff. No, not going to happen. No, I would possibly consider trading Buchnevich. Right. And I know, look, I'm a Buchnevich fan. I really, really am. But something in the playoffs happened and he felt disgruntled to me a little bit. And if that can't get fixed, I can't have that guy on my top line. Right? And Buchnevich is he's a bigger guy. He's physical. He's skilled. And there's not a lot out there. But if I could find somebody, and maybe someone can think of someone that you could possibly trade and get something back, I would almost be willing to take an elder veteran, like somebody in their 30s, early, 32, 33, 34, something like that for a couple of years. Because again, what I have in the cupboard, right? And I'm also getting rid of, an $8 million guy. You look at, Buchnevich just signed a huge, and he's got a full no trade clause. Remember that, okay? But he's signed till 2021 for $8 million a year, right? Starting next year. I got to get that fixed, and if I can't fix it, I got to get rid of him. And I know it sounds horrible me saying this because I like the guy. I think that when he came here, I was so excited. I wrote an article, and I might have it somewhere. I called it the Spetsna line. I wanted to put Tereshchenko, Buchnevich, and Barbashev on the same line. I got told, and I won't say by who, by a former Blues player, that line wouldn't work. For the 4 games that Berube put that line together, they scored 6 goals. Mm-hmm. That line worked, and then it got broken up. which made no sense to me. Why would you break up something working?
Mhm.
Right?
I think I don't hate that by any means, and it doesn't make it sound bad in any way. The way I look at it is when Buchnevich came here. First of all, I was excited too. Like I knew as soon as he came here, I was like, okay, that's a good player. He needed to change his scenery from New York, so he came here. And when you look up, the definition of consistency, Buchnevich was in there. The guy was consistent every night. And was his production fantastic this year in the beginning of the season? No, it wasn't up to standards by any means. But in that second half, he really did show up in that second half. I mean, the whole entire team showed up in the second half. But Buchnevich did show flashes of still being that player that we got a few years ago. Would I be open to moving a guy like that? Yeah. For me, I don't particularly know if I can give you an answer on who I would, want back for him.
Yeah, that's the same issue I have. Right.
But I mean, the way I look at it is Buchnevich. If you can have Buchnevich here, your goal for this team needs to be getting Buchnevich, transitioning him down the lineup while moving younger guys up the lineup. Because I think although Buchnevich could be moved for something, I do think that Buchnevich, when the team is like really good competing for cups again, I think Buchnevich is a great depth piece for this team. If you have a Buchnevich on a second line, third line, I'm all right with that. I mean,
okay, and that's fair. That's very, very fair, and I'm okay with that. I get where you're going. I really, really do. Dr. Detroit says, I think it's going to be a crazy offseason with lots of moves. I don't think it's going to be crazy, but I think I don't think you're gonna see a Nashville Predators type situation, right?
You won't. No, you won't.
But
the Blues don't have the cap space. Nashville.
No. I'm saying overall, just have some team do that, right? Some team just go after everybody. I don't see you having that happen again. I really don't. But what I do see you get is I think the middle pieces are going to fall before the big pieces fall, right? Like so Marner's a big piece. I don't think Marner falls first. I think some of these middle pieces are either A, going to resign, or B, going to get their rights traded so they can negotiate, right? Yeah. Things like that. I think you're going to see some of that stuff happening.
Yeah, well, and it kind of leads into what you're saying. I think for me, the way I look at the Marner thing, like just our free agency as a whole, I do agree with what you're saying. Marner won't be the first one gone. Marner's going to listen to offers, and that's why I think that this could be a sneaky offseason for a team like St. Louis, because I personally, like I said, do I think that, do I understand the interest that Blues fans have in the Blues going after the big fish in Marner? I do. But do I think that they do it? No, I don't. I think they keep Kyrou. I think they work around getting somebody lower priced, which is why I think that Marner's going to take a lot of distraction away from some of the guys that are actually out there, like a Sam Bennett, like a John Tavares.
I would be okay with Bennett. I would go after Bennett. I could see Bennett fitting in this lineup. I don't see Tavares fitting in this lineup.
No, I think Bennett fits more, but the reason Bennett's a good depth piece, and I think he can be slotted into play in that second center role. But the thing is I'm also not the biggest Sam Bennett fan because he is kind of a dirty player.
And you know what? The one thing that I think a team. So first of all, let's get something straight. St. Louis is not a white collar team, right?
No, they're blue collar.
The Cardinals people want to sit there and say, best fans about all that. The Cardinals are a white collar team. I'm sorry, they are. They are a team that that has the money. They spend the money. They do that. They are a white collar team. In hockey, we are a blue collar team, and we have been a blue collar team for a very, 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 very long time. Minus a couple of years where the Lowrys owned us, we were a blue collar team. And we've been one almost from the get-go. Minus a few years where the Lowrys were in there. But other than that, we've been that blue-collar team.
Yeah, ever since I've been born, ever since I've been alive, the Blues have been a blue-collar team.
You're talking, it's been since I've been alive, dude.
No, I know. But that's what I always tell people. The Blues are a blue-collar team. The Blues have never – we've talked about this before the show. The Blues have never been a team where they've been bad enough to go out and get guys like a McDavid, like a McKinnon, because they've never been that bad. They've always been kind of middle of the pack. But and no one – they always say that no one likes to be in the mushy middle. So – and I get that. It's tough.
They tried it in the mid to late 90s with Hull and Shanahan and all of the the signing the free agents and the first round draft picks and Scott Stevens and all of that. So they did try that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The reason it didn't work isn't what everyone thinks. The reason it didn't work is because that was the beginning of free agency and the owners didn't want it. So the owners had this kind of unwritten thing that basically said, it's there, we're not going to use it. The Blues owner said, fuck that. If it's there, I'm going to use it. And this was Shanahan at the time. And Shanahan went after and used it. And it kind of turned things against the Blues. And it hurt the Blues for a while. Mike Keenan, I want to say Mike Keenan was a blue collar coach. He was not a white collar coach at all, right? And I think that he got brought in a time of that white collaredness, a little bit of that white collaredness and it didn't work. But there were other things going on. He should not have been both GM and the coach. He wasn't ready for that. And I think he even to this day admits that he wasn't ready for that.
For me, I think my fandom for the Blues is definitely, above all, everything. It's crazy. But the thing to me that's always been impressive to me about the Blues and the organization and just how my fandom is with the team is the reason I speak so highly of St. Louis. And I'm always quick to be like, oh yeah, St. Louis this, St. Louis that. Yeah, it's a bandwagon homer effect. But at the same time, when you look at the Blues teams that they've had, it's blue collar. Like what we've been talking about, it's blue collar. It's a bunch of guys who come together, buy into a system, and play hard. You don't have a Connor McDavid to carry this team. You don't have a Nathan McKinnon to carry this team. You don't have a Cale Makar to carry this team. You have a bunch of guys, a bunch of skillful guys that buy into a system and play hard to get it done. In 2019, did they have a superstar like a McDavid, like a Draisaitl, McKinnon? No, they didn't. They just had a bunch of skilled guys who bought into a system, and it worked.
I might argue that a little bit. We did have a superstar on that team, but he took a reduced role.
Yeah,
and I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but to discount Tarasenko on that team, he was the superstar on that team, right?
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting anyone.
Okay.
But when I think, okay, Tarasenko, I love Tarasenko, great player here. He was tremendous. I got nothing but love for him. But when I'm thinking of superstars, like, and guys who are really like can catapult and carry a team, do I think Tarasenko in that cup run carried the team on his back? I think Tarasenko was great, but do I think that he was a guy who got in and stole games? No, not particularly. I think he was a guy who played his role. He was good when he needed to be. He was a superstar. He is a superstar. He had the superstar title to him. But when I'm thinking of superstars that really elevate their game and can carry a team, I'm thinking of a Connor McDavid. I'm thinking of a Nathan McKinnon.
That's fair, but I will argue that Tarasenko made the play that sealed the cup for the Blues. Right? I will absolutely, and I've talked about this before. Game 7, we're up 2-0. It's in the third period, and Tarasenko gets the puck going down the left side boards, and he's got Chara and Coyle with him. I think Coyle's the other defenseman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Tarasenko looks off towards the back of the net, and Coyle sees that and breaks away from Tarasenko and starts to head towards the back of the net, allowing Tarasenko to turn around, seeing Schenn coming down Broadway, and is able to he's got Chara, big old Chara, with that super long stick behind him. He's free to make that pass to Schenn, who buries the puck. That goal that made it 3-0, that is what sealed. I know it wasn't the winning goal, but it sealed the when he scores that goal, you know we're winning the cup. You know when Schenn scores that goal, or was it Schenn?
Yeah, it was Schenn. Schenn in the slot.
When Schenn scores that goal, you know we're winning the cup. And Tarasenko, that goal was all Tarasenko. All Tarasenko. And when you see, because he's got Chara in front of him, right? As he's originally coming down, he's got Chara in front of him and Coyle to the side of him. And he's got zero passing room. And you see him kind of turn and then turn back, and his head goes up like he's looking behind the net. And that's when Coyle breaks off. And as soon as Coyle breaks off is when he turns to get Chara completely behind him. So he takes Chara's stick out of the play. He's now got this huge passing lane to put the puck exactly where it needs to go. So to say that he didn't put a team on his back and win the cup, I gotta go back and look at that play, right?
And believe me, I remember the play. I remember all the goals like it was yesterday, man. Like it was one of the best days in St. Louis Blues history. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're saying, and it was a fantastic play. I mean, I think back to I think it was a game. Did they lose the game that I'm thinking of? It was the one play where the puck, Tarasenko shot the puck, and I think it was against Boston, I believe, earlier in the series where he shot the puck and in midair hit the puck and scored in midair. I don't know if you remember that one when he was falling down. He had big moments. Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from his superstardom here because he was a superstar here.
He froze. Da 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 da. Okay, you're back.
I don't. Where did I cut off?
You were talking about his superstardom here.
I like. He's a superstar, and like I said, I'm not discrediting that, but like it just, for me, more so when I look at the Blues run in 2019, it was a bunch of guys that bought in. I mean, look at some of the guys who had big moments. What Schwartz went off in that playoffs. He had what, 2 hat tricks?
Yeah.
In the whole playoffs, and was just a complete wagon out there. David Perron leaned really well. An underrated guy like Ryan O'Reilly, who came in and was just absolutely fantastic. I love O'Reilly, man. O'Reilly always has a special place in my heart.
Oh, then you have the Pisser conversation with Gunderson.
I just think that it was a bunch of guys who bought in, a bunch of blue collar guys. You had a superstar in Tarasenko, but I just think when I'm choosing a guy,
okay,
like I said,
and that's fair, and that's fair. I'm not dissing you. I get what, but I just, to me, it felt like you were not encompassing everything, and that's that's what this show's all about, right? Making sure we talk and have our opinions heard, and that's fine. And speaking of Gunderson, by the way, that is the second most important goal in Blues history.
Yeah, Gunderson.
That is the second most important goal in Blues history. Anyone know why?
Boom,
Why
boom,
I think
Gunderson.
Second most important goal in Blues history?
Well, if you look at how Game 3 went, we would have went down 3-0 in the series.
Yeah. Well, it's the first time we ever win a finals game, right? That was our 14th finals game, and it's the first one we won.
Mm-hmm.
4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 14th finals game, and it's the first one we win. That's the first ever Stanley Cup finals win for the Blues. And that's why that goal to me is so important, because finally we're not getting swept again. We've been there 3 times and haven't won a game. And now we're not being swept. And then, other things go on. But that goal there really does takes at that point, there's only one thing left that we hadn't done in NHL history. Not minus the goalie goal, but I'm talking regular, standard NHL history. There's only one thing we hadn't done, and that was win a cup, or, well, 2 things. Get a shutout in the finals or win a cup.
Yeah.
And really, the only thing we haven't done now is a shutout in the finals. So
which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, those are rare. We got close. We did get close, but look. Go ahead. You had something.
No. I just was saying the because we're talking about like kind of moments. The Blues had some big goals, like huge goals in that final. I think one of my favorite goals, and goal calls actually comes. We had some good, like you said, the Gunnarsson one was a good one. But the first round, game 5, against Winnipeg, Jaden Schwartz with seconds to go.
Yeah,
one of my favorite calls of 2019 playoffs.
That pretty much sealed Winnipeg's fate.
Oh, it did, because then they got blown out.
Winning that game like that really did seal their fate.
Yeah.
When I think of that, there were big goals all around, right? To me, the biggest goal, not counting the finals, the 3 rounds of playoffs, the biggest goal that was scored, second biggest, that was scored, wasn't scored by the Blues. Right? The biggest goal in those first 3 rounds is obviously Maroons' double overtime in Game 7. Okay.
Yeah.
There's and that's in the second round, right?
Yeah. Dallas. Yeah.
There's another goal that's almost as big as that, but it wasn't scored by the Blues.
there's not there's one that I'm thinking of, but I'm sure it's probably not it.
Yeah.
And this is from the first 3 rounds, right?
Yeah. First 3 rounds.
The biggest goal from the other team, or just one of the I would say it's either the hand pass from San Jose.
The hand pass. The hand
Okay.
pass.
That's what I thought.
That hand pass is how they handled the hand pass is exactly why they ended up winning the cup. And Berube, and I'm not a fan of his, but at that moment, he did the right thing. He walked in the locker room and says, it happened. We're not going to talk about it. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
And then not only does he tell the team that, he turns around, walks out to the podium, and the first thing he says is, not going to talk about it. Next question.
Yeah.
He ended it. And the next game, everyone thinks of the 2 blowout games. They forget that game. What was that? 4.
4. Yeah.
Was a 2-1 game. It was a close game. It was not. The Blues. I want to say that the Blues it was tied going into the 3rd period, if I remember correctly.
I will say, although that game was a close one, after that hand goal and how they handled it and all that, and obviously you could tell that the players and Berube were both pissed. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell that they were pissed, but they let it go and regrouped. But for me, after that hand pass goal, St. Louis, it was a foregone conclusion. The way that St. Louis, and I will say this because even though they had a close game in Game 4, St. Louis took over that series. I mean, that series was not anywhere close after that hand pass goal.
Yeah.
St. Louis took that series to San Jose big time.
The fact that San Jose had gone 7 games in the 2 rounds ahead it started to take its toll. And they had like really physical 2 game series, and they had a couple of controversial plays that happened in those 7-game series.
San Jose. I'm gonna go out on a limb. San Jose was a good team and a fun team to watch. I love Jumbo Joe and Brett Burns and all that. But San Jose, when you look at it, they should not have been there. San Jose should not have been there. They got bailed out twice in both series that they played, and they had no business being there. And then they get a break in the 3rd round also, and it almost cost the Blues, but it didn't really.
For me, the Blues got one real break, but I don't feel like it was a break. I actually don't. There's one.
I think I know what you're talking about.
What am I talking about?
I'm gonna go with it was Game 5. Boston and the trip on Achari.
Yeah. First of all, that wasn't a trip, right? I know everyone thinks it was. Oh God, who's Bozak? Bozak's stick was on the puck. Akari didn't have the puck. Akari skates backwards and falls over the stick, falls over his stick, Bozak's stick. Tim Peel has said that it was a trip, but I talked to him offline too, and I said, but what about the playing of the puck? Right? Remember, at the time, Akari doesn't have the puck. Bozak does. And then he kind of backs off a little bit, but he's going to stick with his brothers and say that he thought it was a trip. But they didn't call the trip because I don't think it was, because he played the puck. And his stick at the time that Akari falls over it is on the puck. And I have never seen a player with the puck on his stick get called for a trip.
Mhm. For me, I think I'd have to go and look at the play again. I do know the moment and how it transpired. I think for me, like if I'm just basing it off of my opinion right now, my opinion hasn't changed. It could have gone either way, but it's kind of speaks to how they played it though. Like, yeah, it could have went either way, but my problem with that whole play is you shouldn't be mad at the officials. You should be mad at a player in Achari who decided to kneel on the ice and bitch to the referees instead of getting up and playing in the Stanley Cup Finals.
It wasn't him. The whole Boston stopped. They thought it was a penalty. They stopped playing. The whole team stopped playing. There was no whistle.
That was my problem. If you want to blame somebody for that moment, and don't get me wrong, people get breaks, and I talk about breaks when other teams get breaks and all that, but like it could have gone either way. I'm not saying it was a trip, it wasn't a trip, but when you're in the playoffs and you're especially in the Stanley Cup Finals, you need to get up and start playing, dude. It's not about crying to the officials. It's not about whining for calls. Get up and play and keep playing until that whistle blows.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's the big difference.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. That was one thing. That's why I felt Winnipeg didn't win that series against the Blues. I don't think that they won that series. I think the Blues lost it. Right?
Oh, I want to. I'm telling you right now, guy, for now on, you can have your opinion on Winnipeg. I will never support Winnipeg or their fan base in any way. They are absolute clowns.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
I kind of look, I mean, I get other fan bases here, that show up and they want to, troll or whatever. And that's fine. I get it. It's all in fun and games, but just the way that the Winnipeg, the constant complaining about, how the Blues were and, all of this and but not seeing that they were doing the same thing, that just
for me, guy, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm gonna like come on here and like bash Winnipeg and like take over and all that, but I'm telling you right now, from now on, until Winnipeg proves to me and their fans prove to me that they're anything but hypocrites and whiners, then I will not support that team or that fan base in any way. That series put a sour taste in my mouth, and that's coming from a guy who actually supported Winnipeg and wanted to see Winnipeg succeed. And after what I saw in that playoff series, I don't care what that fan base does or that organization does. The players complained, the coach complained, the fans complained. There is so many things I can pinpoint from that series, going down to the fact of like how like they bragged about games 1 and 2 when they won barely, and they're like, oh yeah, we did it without our star superstars. And then in game 3 and 4, when we bent them over and had our way with them in games 3 and 4, then they want to say, oh well, we didn't have our superstars, so that's why you won.
Yeah,
you're a hypocrite.
Yeah,
you're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
We didn't have Dylan Holloway in that whole series, and he's a 70-point guy.
They won one game of those
One.
4. Or
One
game. They won one. They won game 5. That was it. That's the only game that I can sit there and go, yes, they won that game. We did not play well in that game.
No.
They did not win any other game. They were blown out in 3 games at home in St. Louis, right? And then, they were down 3-1. And to me, when you're down, you give up 2 goals in the last minute and a half or whatever it was, 2 minutes or whatever it was, you lost that game. The other team didn't win it, right? And look, I will not blame Bushnevich for that, but he did make a bad play. He did make a bad
100%.
Play. If he throws that puck towards just away, just throws that puck towards away.
If he throws it against the board on the half boards in neutral zone, you win that game.
Right. You win that game. It changes that, and that whole area was open, right?
Mm-hmm.
To go,
he should have skated. He should have skated a little bit.
To go, that was the one time that I don't think it was right to go for the goal, because there was so much opening, and you do not want to give that team another chance in the play in the face-off circle. So, that was but I'm not going to blame him for the loss because there were other things that happened, right?
Well, you think about it like this, guy. Game 7, yeah, you blew the lead, and might I add that's another clown thing that Winnipeg does. Winnipeg fans do is they always want to point to the 1.6 seconds. Yes, we get it. Thank you. That's your Stanley Cup. Is the goal that you scored with 1.6 seconds. That's the goal that you scored with 1.6 seconds left. So they're living it up like they won the Stanley Cup. I can't imagine being so overly excited like you won the Stanley Cup in round 1 in game 7 against a wild card 2 team. And might I add that this was not like we keep saying, like, and I'll stick to what we said. The Blues in this instance were not a wild card 2 team. They were officially a wild card 2 team, but they didn't play like a wild card 2 team. They played like a team who was like in the position in the playoffs for a good chunk. But for me, I cannot believe how much whining we had in this series.
Oh, yeah. I know. I'm with you. Well, we're at an hour and a half, so I think we're going to call it, man. Thanks, Justin. We'll probably do another show here in a week or two. Just kind of play it by ear, see how things go with the finals. We'll probably do something closer to the draft and that. As we get down to the draft, I may do a draft show. I've done it in the past. I like the first round to see what the Blues do, what trades go. So we'll see what's available to us.
I know that we're going to be closing off. I was actually kind of curious because we never got to it. We talked about the conference finals in the beginning. Who do you have, advancing? I think
Dallas,
the one series. You said Dallas and Florida.
Yeah.
I think that's the way I'm going to. I like Carolina. I've always liked Carolina, but I think Florida just is too much of an outmatch for Carolina. I just don't see Carolina.
And I obviously we haven't had a repeat finals in forever. Like I think the last time we had a repeat finals was 66, 67, 67, 68. Or no, pardon me, 67, 68, 68, 69, or something like that. 67, 68, 68.
Well, we had one. Sorry, go ahead. I just was saying we had it would be a rematch if Edmonton wins and Florida wins.
Edmonton wins, yeah.
Which I still think could happen. Like I don't think that Dallas is a lock. I think that's the one series that could go either way. I think this Florida Carolina series, I think Florida easily wins this series. And that sucks for me to say because I think Carolina deserves to be in the finals. They've been, at it for so long.
Yeah. No. I don't have an issue with either one of those teams making the finals. I just think that Florida is built for this and they're proving it. They're winning the 2 games in Carolina. They're winning the 2 games in Carolina, right? And they're in dominant fashion. Right, they go back home. They may lose one back home, but I just don't see them not falling apart. I just don't see it. And this is a team that has experience now because remember they were up 3-0 on Edmonton, and Edmonton forced the game 7. This is a team that understands the importance of closing a team out when you have to close them out, right? Of not letting them back in. I think that's going to bode very, very well for them.
Edmonton's interesting because, like I said, I don't think that Dallas is a complete lock because you got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Those 2 could take over any game, and for the most part, they were winning that game, and then Dallas just took it over in the third. I mean, 5 unanswered. I mean that was just a complete collapse from the Oilers.
Come down to goaltending, and Ottinger's so much better than Skinner.
He is. For me, who I'm pulling for as a Blues fan, people are going to be like, oh, why are you pulling for Dallas? I kind of want Dallas to win. Dallas has been in it for a while. Personally, I don't like Jamie Benn. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Jamie Benn, obviously, in St. Louis. But Jamie Benn, for everything that I've heard, Jamie Benn's a great captain, and he does deserve to win a cup.
No, I got no. I think Dallas has been on that doorstep for a while, and I think that they're there. And then you remember, a lot of people forget in the bubble playoffs, they went to the finals, right? Yeah. In the first bubble playoffs, they went to the finals. They got there in the finals. So this is not a weak Dallas team, and they were one of the top 4 seeds at that point. It's not like they were, they were right there. If you remember in the West, the 4 teams, 3 of them came from the Central Division. The Central Division has been a very, very good division for a very, very long time, and we're seeing that again. And it's the West had a little bit of, or the Pacific had a little bit of a flare, but I think it's coming back to the Central being just that stronger division, and it's going to stay strong.
Yeah, I think that's who I want to win. I mean, technically, I wanted Carolina to win, but like I said, I just don't think Carolina beats Florida. For me, I could see Florida repeating. It's so hard for me. Like when they're on their game, man, Florida is just incredible to watch. I don't like Florida. I think Florida is a very, very dirty team. But
Carolina's going to get one of the weirdest penalties that you've ever heard of, and it almost never happens. They're getting a penalty for playing with a broken stick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hate to see it. See it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be touching with an illegal stick. That's
crazy.
What happens is the Carolina player goes to stop Marchand, and his stick breaks, and then before he drops the stick, he plays the puck. Yeah, he plays the puck while he's got the broken stick in his hand. I don't think he actually touched the puck, but he plays it while he still has the broken stick in his hand. So Burns. It was Burns. Well, hey, man, I want to thank you for forcing me to do the show a little bit. I appreciate that. I kind of needed someone to get me out of my funk, and you did, and I appreciate that, my friend. I had a great time talking to you for this this hour and a half, and we got a couple of people that watch this, and we got some good comments, and I enjoyed everybody. Dr. Detroit said, who's your favorite? We missed this one. I don't know if he's still watching us. Who's your favorite St. Louis Blues? If you're asking me, my all-time favorite is Brett Hull, and my second would be Tarasenko, and on the team right now, I'm going with Kyrou, and it's now 5-0. They Burns pay for that. What about you, bud?
If I was to answer, man, favorite Blues players, that's a hard one. Like all time, for me, honestly, it's a cop-out answer, but I'm a big Robert Thomas guy, man. When Robert Thomas's career ends, I think he's going to be in my question to be one of my favorite Blues. I think
and there's a good chance that Robert Thomas is a one team guy. That plays for St. Louis.
Oh, I could see it. I think Robert Thomas might play his whole career here. I truly do believe that. Obviously, it's too early to tell, but if especially if the Blues are on the up, the Blues are not on the down. So if the Blues, especially if they win another cup, in recent memory, I think Thomas could be here his whole career.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I do too. Well, hey man, you have a great night. I'll keep talking to me on Messenger, and we'll try and get another show set up. I appreciate you. Hey everyone, have a great night. This is Guy and Justin. I forgot who I was going to say first. Guy and Justin saying aloha mahalo, and we'll see you again on the BlueNote Fan Report. Have a great night. Keep watching hockey. Keep bleeding blue with you, buddies. And